All right, last but not least, it's everyone's favorite, the Vanar. Vanar are very cool, and they're very strange. They don't make a lot of sense at first. You're like, what am I supposed to be doing with this? But they get a lot of incremental and strange value where you're like, oh, this doesn't seem too good. And you realize later, like, oh, I am just beating them to death, and they cannot keep up tempo-wise. So, yeah, let's dive in. As always, right now we have every card. Some of these cards are really, really good substitutes for when you don't have every card. But they probably aren't played in a world where you have every single card. Duelyst does a great job of keeping the playing field kind of fair if your budget. There's no War Golem for 7/7 for 7 versus Dr. Boom, who's a 7/7 for 7 that summons 2/1/1s that do a zillion damage. Like there's not a lot of like strict straight upgrades. There's a lot of alternate choices that are maybe not quite as good, but are still pretty good. So keep that in mind as I go through. Flash Freeze. Deal 1 damage to a minion and stun it. It's free, but it only hits a minion. Stun is, I think, mediocre. There might be some case where you really want to play this, but I personally don't run it. Polarity. It's a fun tech card. People don't expect this, and then it just like ends games. You're like, oh, the enemy's like you get rid of something that has like you give somehow the enemy has something that has 0 attack. You just remove it for free, or you have some creature that has like 1 attack and 4 health, and now it's a 4/1, and you just kill them out of nowhere because they didn't expect it to happen. So keep that in mind. That said, probably a 1 or a 2 of at best. Aspect of the Fox. Transform a minion into a Fox Ravager. 3/3. So if anything sticks on the board and your opponent doesn't remove it, you get to turn that into a 3/3 for 1. That's really quite good. This is absolutely playable. Play it. Mesmerize. Both players lose a mana crystal. I have no earthly idea if this is playable. Obviously, there's some like, ooh, maybe there's a cool like control deck or tempo deck or something. I'm sure it exists. I have no idea how to build it. Have fun. Good luck. Snow Chaser. Infiltrate. Dying Wish. Put a copy of this in your action bar. So if this dies on the opponent's starting side of the field, on the enemy side of the battlefield, which is where they start, it will come back to your action bar. This can get you a lot of free value over time. It's absolutely worth playing. If you're not really, and also notice it's a Vesper. We're going to talk about that tribe in a bit. So very much worth playing. Winterblade Artifact. Your general has +1/+0. When this general is destroyed, give your general this takes no damage. Honestly, I have no idea. I don't recall this existing. I could see it. You know what? Let me check something. No, that's enemy general. Okay, I was curious if you could like force the trigger. I could see it in some sort of control thing where like you need another turn, so you put this on you because the opponent has to destroy this to get through. If they want to deal damage to you, they will have to deal damage to you, and this will get destroyed. So yeah, I can see this in a control deck because, like, say, an Abyssian's crashing in all their creatures to get a ton of value. Well, they can only get so much value before this dies, and now you cannot die. Well, I would think you can't die, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's something else. Bone Chill Barrier, very good. Summon 3 joined Ice Barriers. Ice Barriers are Vespers. Remember that. And again, because it's summon 3 and it's a 2 cost, you can, on turn 1, move forward. Sorry, on turn 1, going second, you move forward, you start with 3 mana. You play this, you get 2 mana tiles. This cost you 2, you went down to 1, you go back up to 3, and then you play a 3-drop. So you get to play a 3-drop and a 2-drop. And the 3-drop gets to be pretty much wherever you want because of how Bone Chill Barrier gives you so much control to summon things. Very, very, very good card. I'm pretty sure it's an automatic 3 of in every Vanar deck I ever built. Borean Bear has +1/+0 for each allied wall. I don't think this is real. I don't think wall decks are real. You pretty much like auto lose versus Magmar or a bit. I want to say Vitruvian, maybe Abyssian. I don't know. It seems very, very risky. While this is a good card, going all in on walls is not the way to go. That said, if you want to build a wall deck, I think they can compete. Just probably not absolute top of the line. And if you're building a wall deck, yes, you play it. Boundless Courage. Give an allied minion +2/+0. This turn, this takes no damage. It's an interesting card, I'll say that. It can keep a minion alive while you clear another minion, but I'm not sure what you would put this on. So even if you play it, it's probably a 1 of because it does nothing if you have an empty board. So probably don't mess with it. Chromatic Cold. Dispel space and deal 2 damage to the enemy on that space. Absolutely. 3 of. Really, really good removal. Dispel is really good. Doing both is really good. It's flexible. It's powerful. Play it. Cold Biter. At the end of your turn, your general deals 2 damage to nearby enemy minions. I am suspicious if this is good. I swear this effect didn't exist when Vanar was being played, or when I was still, or back in the beta days. 2 damage is not a lot, and it's only to enemy minions. It's sort of a sweeper, obviously, and it kind of maybe keeps tempo up, where like you can crash a 2-attack creature into something that has 4 health, and then this will kill it for you. Like obviously the 4/4 for 4 that heals for 4. You crash in some 2-drop with 2 attack, and then this kills it, and you don't have to take 4 damage to the face. So maybe, but I'm not sold. Crystal Cloaker, once again, Vesper, remember that. Infiltrate, +2/+0. So on the enemy side of the board, this is a 4/3 for 2. And a 2/3 is just a good stat line for 2 anyways. The fact that this won't always be infiltrating can make it look like it's bad, but 4/3 for 2 is so good that I still think this is generally worth playing, especially if you're going through Vesper synergy. Crystal Wisp, minion, Dying Wish, gain a mana crystal. I played an opponent who they were going second. They played this on their turn 1. I decided to clear this so they couldn't get the mana tile next turn and then somehow still get this killed or buff it. And then they dropped a Dancing Blades, like way ahead of curve, and totally wiped my tempo and eventually beat me. So yeah, this is good. Frostfire, give a minion +3/+0. If it's Vesper, give it +3/+3 instead. So this is why, like, oh, well, he's not infiltrating, I don't care. And then suddenly, for another 2 mana, he's doing 5 damage to your face. Very good card. Obviously, probably mostly played in Vesper. But to close out, I had a Vanar beatdown deck that was just, it used Frostfire and Crystal Cloaker and a few other things, and it ran that 3-drop Rush creature because this means on turn 5 from hand I can deal 6 damage. Hellstone Prison, really good removal. Return a minion to its owner's action bar. If there's no space on the action bar, the card gets destroyed, and none of their Dying Wish effects trigger. It's very difficult to always play around Vanar, especially when sometimes they purposely try to keep your hand full, so this is even better. There were ways, I think, to put things in the opponent's hand back in the day. I don't know, it's whatever. But this is also a soft dispel. Or actually, it's a hard dispel, in that if they buffed a creature to wherever, and you don't have a normal dispel, you drop Hailstone Prison on them, goes back to their hand, and oops, now it's basically gone. So yes, absolutely 2 or 3 of in almost every deck. Hearthsitter, Sister. 3/2, opening gamut, this switches positions with another minion. That switch effect is very strong, but I would only play 1 or 2 of these. It's really good in Spell or in Songhai because you have a 0-drop that does the same effect with any 2 creatures on the board. The fact that it has to be this creature makes it a little bit weird. Still, for certain decks, like an aggro deck where you need to get that last hit in and they've started to wall up, this can help you get there. Give a minion, this cannot attack generals, it becomes a 5/5. I seem to recall using this. I don't remember how or why, but there were some clever uses for this. I don't remember what they are. So good luck to you brewers out there. Like maybe it was just to get a really good removal hit. I feel like there was a way to maybe give something frenzy and still get the damage on the general somehow, but good luck. Blazing Spines. Summon 2 joins Frigid Spines. It's a 3 mana that summons 2. Ah, shoot, it's not going to show me what they are. That's really annoying. Okay, I think it summons 2 walls. I think they're Vespers. And I think they're 3/3s. Now, 3/3 is a lot of stats, but to my memory, walls can be dispelled and they die. Now, I haven't tested that in a long time, so I could be wrong. If that's still true, it's why stuff like this just isn't worth it. The other one is so good because of the opening that it gives you and some other effects that we're going to get to in a moment. This is a lot of mana to just immediately die to a Sunblue. And to maybe just sit there and do nothing the entire game because your opponent didn't, silhouette tracers away, and now it's just there. I could be wrong, but if you want to try walls, this goes in the wall deck for sure. It's a good wall card. I just don't think walls are that good. Cryogenesis, deal 4 damage to an enemy minion and draw a Vesper. This is like one of your better hard removals, and it cantrips itself into a Vesper. You have lots of Vespers. This is a Vesper. We'll get to this. It's good. A 3/3 that when it dies summons a 3/3. It's really good. Play these. 3 of them. Awesome. It's very frustrating to deal with this unless you're actually Vanar, in which case you hit it in the face and then you chromatic cold it and kill it. Glacial Elemental. When you summon a Vesper, deal 2 damage to a random enemy minion. So you put this down. You play any of your other Vespers, great. You play Bone Shell Barrier, you're going to deal 6 damage spread across, 3 ticks of 6 random damage. It's very powerful. It can, clear a 6 health creature if it's the only enemy creature on the board, or it could, wipe 3 different creatures if they're all 2 health. You don't always get the hits you want, but sometimes the hits you get end the game. Absolutely good. I play this in a majority of my Vanar decks. Gravity Well, 7/4 and join Frost Walls. Will it show us? Okay, it's a minion. It's not a Vesper, and it has Provoke, and it's an 0/1. Again, I am not sure where you play this. Like, it's got combos with this guy and stuff, but I just don't think it's really that good. Again, if you want to do walls, this is something to play. It's that other bear really up there, but yeah. Snowpiercer, this is removal. General removal and beatdown. +3, +0. When your general attacks a minion, deal 1 damage to the enemy general. So it's just good removal that gives you incremental damage on the enemy general and breaks their artifacts. That 1 damage is pinging their artifacts. Keep that in mind. This is artifact removal as well. So if you're seeing a lot of artifacts in the meta, you might want to consider running Rustcrawler, and you probably should run this because I think this is good enough to run anyways. Wolf Raven, 2/4 flying, infiltrate, takes no damage from units with 3 or more attack. I have no idea now. In theory, if the general has more attack, then this also takes no damage. But I don't think this was its effect when I played. I definitely didn't play it too much. I'd be curious to see what people do with it, but I can't think of what you'd do with it. I'd stay away from it. Aspect of the Worm. Transform a minion into a white worm and give allied minions nearby a flying. So you make a 4/4 with flying, and you give your allied minions nearby flying. It's not bad. It's probably a one of because you're not always going to stick a minion, but it's pretty easy to stick a minion in Vanar. Again, you've got your walls, you've got this guy who often sticks, you've got that stupid little infiltrate guy who just keeps coming back. Something's going to stick. And then that something's going to become a 4/4 flyer and hit the enemy. And it's maybe going to take its entire zoo with it, depending on what you're doing. Avalanche. Deal 4 damage to units on your starting side of the battlefield and stun them. Playing with this properly is really hard, but incredibly powerful. AoE, 4 damage to all units, generals, allies, enemies. Really, really good. And stun on top of it. Stun is incidental, is great. So this can absolutely turn the tide if your opponent plays into it. But if they're trying to avoid Avalanche, you can probably turn on Infiltrate. So if you're running a lot of Infiltrate, you definitely want to run at least 2 Avalanche to kind of threaten them when they go across the board. There's a middle spot, a middle column, where players will try to stand against Vanar because that's the safe space where Infiltrate doesn't trigger and Avalanche can't get you. But you can abuse that too and either take up those spaces, know that they're force them into situations where they need to move. You get the idea. This can definitely be played. It doesn't go in everything though, so careful. It can surprise people though, so you might want to occasionally throw one of in. Razorback, opening gambit, give all other allied minions +2/+0. Again, they're pretty good at sticking something. +2/+0 out of your hand, not bad at all. It's absolutely playable. If you want another 4-drop, give them a try. It does depend on what kind of deck you're running. Spirit of the Wild. Activate all minions on your opponent's starting side of the battlefield. So they basically get to go again. Everything that's infiltrated gets to go twice. I feel like this is a win more, honestly, in the situations where you're like, oh, this is so good. I feel like it's like game's already over. So, I don't know. Voice of the Wind. When you play a minion, summon a winter mid on a random nearby space. So, makes a 2/2 when you summon. It's good in zoo, things like that. Not much more to say. Obviously, like that little infiltrate guy who comes back to your hand starts getting more and more value off this. It can be quite good. So if you want to build around it, build around it. Arctic Displacer, 10/4 airdrop. Airdrop's overrated. I don't know why he's got forward. Like I don't know when you play this. I would stay away from it. Frostrun Rhino, Infiltrate, +1/+0, and Celerity. This is a really good payoff for Infiltrate, because Celerity means this guy's dealing 12 damage, and he's not bad either way. So again, if you want to go Infiltrate, or if you aren't going Infiltrate, but you do want one Infiltrator just to punish them, this can be a great one. Aspect of the Mountains, transform a minion into a seismic elemental and deal 5 damage to enemy minions nearby. This is your sweeper. you summon a minion on turn, like you summon that 1-drop that I keep talking about on turn 7, then you turn it into a 5/5, deal 5 damage to enemy minions nearby. So you wipe them out, and you've turned them into a 5/5. Very good card. Dragonlord, 7/6, opening Gamfins transform allied Vespers into Ice Strix until your next turn. That includes him. So he goes from a 7/6 on summon to a 2/7. 2/7 is a weird number to turn people into for one turn. Like, this is also reads as lose to Magmar. Because then they just go, oh, cool, and Plasma Storm you, and you're done. I don't know what the point of this card is. I gotta be honest. Like, oh yeah, I made all my minions 2/7s. They probably already had to attack. I guess they won't die on the counterattack. More power to you if you make them work. Ancient Grove, 6/9. Provoke, opening Gambit, give allied minions Dying Wish, summon a Trine on the space. I saw someone playing this in a wall deck just to make clearing the walls even more value for them. Maybe it makes sense, but Provoke kind of doesn't scale super well, because if everything has Provoke, it's like nothing has Provoke, because now you can attack whenever you want. So I think he's good, though. And if you want to play a Curve Topper and you I'd like to try Ancient Grove, try Ancient Grove. Neutrals, once again, 1-drops, Zoo stuff. Otherwise, who knows? This one's kind of good. I think I have some opening Gambit nonsense with him, but I don't remember. Probably not. I might be crazy. Always good, always good. Always good. 3 of in most decks. Again, if you don't know what you're doing and you're not sure what you want to do, 3 of in the deck right at the start. Same with him. Probably not. I don't know. Rock Pulverizer is, I think, actually pretty good. Again, anything that can stick early, because they can turn those things into 3/3s, is very powerful if you're running that spell. I gotta say, I don't really know what Vanar plays in the neutral slots. Again, if you're gonna do Zoo, there's your Zoo combo. I don't believe in Zoo in most cases, but other people have made it work. Supposedly, maybe, kind of. I don't think Mogwai makes sense. It's not like they have anything super cool. This is actually very, very good in Vanar. They have a lot of ways to make this much stronger. And it can help you just get the reach you need to end the game early before they heal back up. Every deck or not every deck, but always consider putting 3 of this guy in. If you're about to put 1 in, put 3 in. He's better than, if you think he fits in your deck, he's better than at least 3 of your cards. Really good card. Oh, right, that's the one thing. Sorry, I have to quickly go back through. They have they have Polarity. So really quickly, that's what I was like, there's something they can do some really weird nonsense with. Polarity plays make anything with high toughness extra good for them. Again, it's only usually as like a 1-of, but having that in your back pocket can make you reassess some of these cards that otherwise underperform because they just don't quite do enough. But then these cards that are already kind of good get way, way, way better. Because you can just, out of nowhere turn them into something much, much stronger. You can remove your old card. Actually, I'm curious how Polarity would work with him, depending on what's on the board, but that's for another time. Did I miss anything that would be Polarityable? Again, like, if you want to try and do weird tech stuff, this is maybe the faction to do it in. Maybe he's finally better in this case. I doubt it. This is not as cool as it looks. Remember, you'll just remove it. AoE, jank. I feel like they have Arcanist synergy. I don't remember what else is an Arcanist. I guess I should just search really quickly. Arcanist. That's in there. So these are your Arcanist options. You notice that they're like very, very high up there. And then, Songhai has two. No, it's Songhai. I lied. This is why I don't ever remember that that's a thing, because I don't think it's a real thing. Because they're too high. They're too high in the curve. Tracer's almost always good. It's a tech call. He's a bit better with Polarity in your deck. Anything that you can stick, blah, 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 blah. Just trying to think of any other gimmicky, nifty combos I can think of. This might get really good with Polarity because they'll be like, oh, it's a 2/8, and then you swap it, and it's an 8/2, and it murders you. Very good. Again, someone ramped into this early and just ruined my day. Because you can ramp in a consistent manner, not just like a one-off turn thing. I think this is a great card for Vanar. As always, tech call. As always, really good control finisher. Control finisher, maybe. And oh yeah, Jax is again quite good because he gives you a lot of bodies, and you can turn those bodies into other things if you need to, or buff them. Gives you more bodies. Very good control finisher. Very good control finisher. Possibly a good control finisher. Good control finisher. Good control finisher. And that's pretty much that. Vanar, I tried throwing something together. I was just kind of messing around with Vesper, as you can see. Polarity, Aspect of the Spock, Shadow, Bone Chill Barrier, Chromatic Cold, Crystal Cloaker, Frostfire, Hailstone Prison, 3 Mystics, 3 Emeralds, 3 War Masters, 3 Glacials, 2 Snowpiercer, 2 Avalanche. I probably should have played the I should have found room for that other sweeper I mentioned that makes one of your creatures into a 5/5. I absolutely think that's worth it. I'd probably ditch the Razorbacks for that instead. I think it's a little more proactive given that I don't have a ton of creature density in this. I would tweak this a little bit depending on what now that I'm a little bit better. But hopefully that gives you all an idea. I'm going to finally do a neutral faction one and just, again, cover the neutral stuff in its own video rather than just this like, oh, well, in this faction. It'll be pretty quick because I'm just going to blaze through it and kind of go over them. And then I'm planning on also doing sort of a staple video where I go through each faction in one video and go, okay, these are the things that almost everyone runs 3 of because they're just so good, especially in this current have everything meta. So that's it for the factions. So I hope you're having fun, and yeah, we'll see what I do next.